Japan princess to wed commoner next month despite dispute.
Here's a summary of the article.
Tokyo, Japanese princess Mako and her fiancé are tying the knot next month but no wedding ceremonies are planned. The controversy involving Mako fiancé Kei Komuro's mother is an embarrassment for the imperial family and led to public rebuke that delayed their marriage for more than 3 years. Komuro, 29, returned to Japan last week from New York, where he was studying to become a lawyer. His hair, tied in a ponytail, was considered a bold statement for someone marrying a princess in the tradition-bound family and only added to the criticism. Mako would be the first female imperial family member since World War II to not receive the payment when marrying a commoner. The dispute involved whether the money his mother received from her former fiancé and spent on Komuro's education in Japan was a loan or a gift. Female members of the royal family must renounce their royal status when they marry a commoner, a practice that has resulted in a decline in the size of the royal family and a shortage of successors to the throne.
This post received a score of 6,000, with an upvote ratio of 96%. Here are the top comments in response to this article.
This guy was briefly taking classes at my law school in NY, and one day a random Japanese TV crew stopped me leaving class and interviewed me about him, and I had no ideas who they were talking about. At one point I answered, I couldn't say, to a question I had no idea about, and because of the language barrier they got super excited because they thought this meant that the school was sending us directives not to talk to anybody about him.
In hindsight, if you could go back and say anything, what would you have said?
Nice try, Japanese media.
I've read in some other thread about this that her options to marry and stay a royal would be very few, and apart from that mostly incest. The Japanese royalty rules are complex and weird. Being a commoner sounds like a good alternative. Closing parenthesis.
That's the thing I don't understand, and when I Google it I just end up in circles about the same story. Does Japan still have a nobility outside of the imperial house?
Greater than does Japan still have a nobility outside of the imperial house? No. It used to, but they were stripped of their titles after WW II, limiting the nobility to just a few branch families of the imperial one.
So I know that the reason that the Allies allowed the Japanese monarchy to remain was because they thought Japan would refuse to concede it, but would not fight against abolishing the nobility. However, I wonder if they foresaw and welcomed the succession crisis and ultimate end of the monarchy by genetics, Habsburgization, that such a small marriage pool is doomed to.
The men can marry outside the family with no problem. The current emperor isn't related to his wife. Isn't Japan's nobility pretty much just the emperor's family? And in the male lineage no less. Her marriage would have been to a commoner in any case.
Yes, the male nobility is her grandpa, father, 2 uncles and her younger brother. The dispute here has to do with Japanese tax money and the economic history of Princess Mako's fiancé and his family. The TLDR is that his mother received money for his education from a former boyfriend who claims that the money was meant as a loan while his family claims that it was a gift. The only specific cultural aspects here is that they would be entitled to a taxpayer-funded gift, which they're rejecting, and that Japanese marriage is viewed as the woman becoming part of the man's household, so some Japanese people are not happy with her going to a family with a questionable background.
Petty, trashy fucking rich people drama.
This video was automatically created by Reddit to speech. The article and comments in this video were selected from Reddit according to their upvotes, and any paraphrasing was performed by smmry.com, without any human intervention.